Innovating has never been easier than it is today. Most of what makes our world so different from the world our parents lived in are things like Facebook and Google that were created in either a garage or a dorm room by an imaginative entrepreneur. The solution to virtually any problem is in the same room as you, or at least a keyboard click away. My personal story of innovation began a few summers ago when I was 16, volunteering at a local hospital as a companion to patients on dialysis, a common way of filtering blood when the kidneys fail. So our kidneys are the organs responsible for filtering blood, removing all toxins and waste to produce 1 liter of urine per day. So we do this every day, all day, without even thinking about it. So when kidneys fail, or when kidney function decreases, patients must find an alternative solution to replace their dying kidneys. So the 2 options that are existent today are a kidney transplant, a new kidney, or to use dialysis, which is an external machine that'll filter the blood and bring it back to the body once it's entirely purified. So my time spent as a companion to patients on dialysis is when I realized the true potential of innovative thinking, saving lives. As someone who dreams of becoming a doctor, I naturally became fascinated by this 3 times a week treatment. So I started reading up on the subject, and it became immediately clear that there is a worldwide lack of access to dialysis and a huge need for it. I was in disbelief upon finding out that 90% of patients living in India and Pakistan who need the treatment to survive simply have no access to it. Or that from 2002 to 2012, in a region of Nicaragua, 46% of all deaths in the male population were due to kidney disease. There is a huge problem here. So I thought to myself, why isn't enough being done to help? What if I gave it a shot? So after a long research phase, I decided to invest the time and energy in the development of a simple and highly affordable hemodialysis machine specifically designed for developing countries, something that still today isn't on the market. So, keeping in mind that cost is the main barrier to the widespread use of dialysis machines in the world, I made it my personal mission to design a dialysis machine at a fraction of the cost of a typical one, which costs $25,000. So I'm sure, as you can imagine, getting this project started was extremely overwhelming at first. So I had purchased tons of products online from manufacturers all over the world, and now had to find a way to assemble all these components to end up with a fully functional medical device. I was working from my basement. I had very little background knowledge in anything related to dialysis or technology, being a high school student in secondary 5, so I spent hours reading textbooks and researching online, trying to wrap my head around the complex process of blood filtration. Every waking moment, outside of school, when I wasn't busy studying, was spent on some aspect or another of this dialysis machine. So pretty much overnight, I became the engineer, the designer, the innovator, the computer programmer, all at the same time. It was fascinating because I'd spend my day in school learning subjects like all of you are learning, and then I'd come home and try to wrap my head around these complex university-level subjects, which was very interesting. But just like the innovations and technologies that started in garages and dorm rooms in the past, my project really picked up momentum and took on a life of its own. So nearly 300 hours of hands-on work later, my first prototype was built and ready to be presented at Science Fair. And its value, just $500. So that's nearly 1/60th of the cost of a typical dialysis machine. So with this clear goal in mind, I set out to design prototype number 2. And at last I had the opportunity to test it out with human blood in a real lab. So Hema Quebec, our blood donation organization, offered me a 1-week internship to really test out the prototype in as many ways as possible, do as many simulations that would resemble a typical dialysis situation. I worked with this team of researchers who put all their work on hold for the week to really allow me to test out everything I need to test out with my device. So here's some footage from the internship. This is actual blood running through my device. It was incredible to see it for the first time. So here you see the blood bag. It's the blood from 8 donors, so it's 4 liters. So the blood will come in through one side of it, as you can see, and then it'll pass through a peristaltic pump, which will push the tubing so that the blood can enter the filter. Once blood exits the filter, it's completely purified, and all that's left to do is remove the air bubbles so that the blood can safely return to the patient. On the other side, there's a completely separate circuit, which is the dialysate circuit. So dialysate is a liquid that's prescribed by the doctor, which is going to contain the adequate concentration of electrolytes depending on the patient's quality of filtration. So basically, the dialysate will come into the filter, and the blood will also. Then here's a zoom in on the filter. So you can see the blood is going to enter through tens of thousands of very fine membranes. And on the outside, there's dialysate. So the blood is bathing in dialysate. So all the toxins can get removed from the blood, and the patient can have clean blood again. Here is also the mechanism. So knowing that the device can filter, because the dialysate and the filter are both prescribed by the doctor, I went into the internship knowing that it would work. I just had to really make sure that the mechanism of the prototype worked properly. So this is the first prototype circuit board. And how it works is we're going to have various components that'll work using an Arduino. So maybe you've worked with an Arduino before. It's used in robotics projects a lot. So basically, it requires a computer code, which is read by this microcontroller, and the message is then passed on to the electrical circuit for all the safety mechanisms and everything to work properly. So clearly, I have a long way to go before getting past the prototype stage. But every good initiative needs a first step. Think about it. My inspiration didn't spring from past medical projects or feats of engineering. It came from spending time with patients on dialysis. I'm not a doctor or an engineer. I'm a student, like all of you, lucky enough to have access to the technology and innovation that allow us to take on those roles and overcome any obstacle. I've been lucky enough to have quite a bit of recognition with my project. It's been incredible. And about 30 people from around the world, mostly in the Middle East, have approached me personally, asking to purchase this prototype, which, as you can see, is not ready to be used on people, for themselves or for a loved one. All of you can be innovators too, of course, in whatever your passion is. And just imagine if all of us put our heads together and brought innovation to our own pursuits, what a difference that can make. Together, we can learn, create, and build a better and more compassionate world. Our future starts today. What can you innovate on? Thank you.